Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. So with a lot of the news and notes stuff in the past behind us, moving on, I want to kind of get back to some of the stuff that we moved on from a little bit. So, for example, Bob McGinn has his little run-through of what the scouts are saying, this and that, about different prospects. And so I do want to get back to that. We're not going to do all of them. We don't have the time to do it. But he's done running back, which I just want to touch on briefly, just because we haven't talked about it a ton, and I want to make sure that we do, because it's entirely possible that the Packers pick a running back at some point, just like pretty much any position. Probably not early, but we should touch on it. That's part 6 of Bob McGinn's series. Part 7 is the defensive line, Meet the Brawlers. That's obviously going to be a big one. And then part 8, they have edge rushers, obviously a big one. And then part 9, they have linebackers. So I don't think we're going to get through most of that, but I want to do at least running back and defensive tackle today. As for actual news and notes, there's basically nothing. Scott Hansen of Red Zone is officially going to be the newest voice of Madden 2026. It's kind of interesting because I don't remember, wish I could remember the context of it, but I know a few months ago or so we talked about a question of whether he would be back with Red Zone, and it seemed crazy that he wouldn't be, and I thought there was some talk about there being like a project. And it was like, oh no, could he end up going somewhere else? I wonder if this is what it was, but I can't freaking remember. I wish I could. And then a little bit more interesting news. Albert Breer reported NFL Chief Media and Business Office Brian Rolop mentioned on Monday how the league has liberalized its rules for Hard Knocks. Here is the full rule. The non-playoff requirement has been removed to compel a team. This really opens up the NFL's options for HK this summer, being Hard Knocks. So, in totality, here's what it says. Hard Knocks in season. In every NFL season, one division will be featured in Hard Knocks in season based on predetermined rotating format, with each division featured once every 8 years, and each club in the applicable division for a particular NFL season will be featured in Hard Knocks in season during that season. Hard Knocks training camp eligibility. 1. Does not have a first-year head coach. 2. Is not a member of a division to be featured in Hard Knocks in season for such upcoming season, or a member of the division to be featured in the immediately subsequent season. 3. Has not been featured in Hard Knocks training camp in the previous 8 seasons. And 4. Is not then exempt from selection based on such club participation in Hard Knocks or a similar access show prior to 2024, pursuant to parameters that exist at the time of such club's prior participation. I hate the way lawyers write. The reason this is interesting, obviously, is that one of the biggest hindrances, and I'll call it a hindrance, I'm sure, although I know a lot of Packer fans hate the idea of the Packers being on Hard Knocks, but one of the main reasons they haven't been on there is because they go to the playoffs almost every year. Removing the playoff barrier now means they're not going to have as many excuses, and you have to assume the Green Bay Packers are probably pretty high on the list of teams that have never been featured that they would like to have featured. Although, now that you drop the playoff requirement, there's probably a ton of teams that have not been on that they would love to have featured. Or even if they have been on, I don't know if maybe the Chiefs were on in 2007 with some jag-off team that sucked. I don't know. But I'm sure they'd love to get Patty Mahomes and, some of the superstars and everybody on there. But the Packers have never been on Hard Knocks. And I think I got the list here of teams that have not been on. There's not a ton that would be much higher than the Packers. So it looks like the Chiefs have been. When were the Chiefs on? Yeah, so they were 2007. Isn't that like exactly what I said? But Philadelphia might be above. San Francisco would be pretty big. Maybe Washington because of how cool they are now. Buffalo would be a big one. Otherwise, it's Denver, gross. Seattle, Pittsburgh, I mean, if Rodgers is there, but I feel like we've kind of done that already. Vikings, Carolina, no. Jacksonville, no. Patriots, gross. Titans, no. So there's only a couple teams that I guarantee the NFL is looking at going, yeah, dude, this is coming, just so you know. Also, and this kind of confused me, I had to sit here and contemplate for a while. I guess there's 3 types of Hard Knocks right now. And this is important because these are different standards for 2 different types. I don't know what the standards are for the third type. So the original Hard Knocks was during training camp, right? That's what we've been watching since the early 2000s. It's guys going through the preseason, getting cut, that whole thing. That's been Hard Knocks. In 2021, they had their first in-season edition for the Indianapolis Colts. I haven't been watching Hard Knocks very much, so I've been missing all this apparently. So presumably in-season is tracking them during the season. You had the Colts, Cardinals, Dolphins, and then the AFC North this past season. And then they added in 2024 their first ever new type, which is off-season, which is very cool, by the way, that you're tracking somebody during the off-season. That's the one I don't know the eligibility for. Maybe there just isn't. We can do whatever we want. I don't know. And as somebody, by the way, that is pro, I want to see more of the Packers, the fact that there's 3 different types makes it 3 times more likely the Packers will eventually be on, and count me in for Packers off-season edition. With that said, though, kind of looking at it one more time, it's the in-season edition that has this once every 8 years criteria, and so far it's been Cardinals, Dolphins, and AFC North. So there's only 5 left before we have to get to the NFC North at some point, whether that's this year or whatever. Not a member of the division to be featured in Hard Knocks in season. Well, I don't know, but either way, does say, or a member of the division to be featured in the immediate subsequent season. So I wouldn't know that either. Has not been featured in Hard Knocks training camp in the previous 8 seasons. Obviously, they've never been on, so you don't have to worry about it. Not exempt from participation because of similar access shows. So you don't need like 2 shows running at the same time. So that just means other teams that get exemptions are teams that are doing this stuff. So if you're not doing it, it just gets more and more and more likely that you're going to be doing it at some point. So you got to remember, so there's 3 teams that are going to be on Hard Knocks. 1 off-season team, 1 training camp team, and 1 in-season team. And the in-season team is a 1-in-5 shot that it's an NFC North team. Training camp was just the Chicago Bears, the original version, so I would think it's not going to be NFC North, but there is off-season. So we shall see. Pretty pumped. All right, let's just go ahead and jump into this. Could take a break, but I don't know. We'll just keep rocking here. Running backs. A lot of these early ones will sound familiar. Ashton Gently, Boise State, 5'8.5", 213. Again, I probably just won't read those because I don't know if that's pre or post combine. Pros, draft him first overall, and you're not wrong. Can't get stronger than that for a running back. Rare human being, rare player, complete back. He'll make 2 miss and run over the third. Compared to Bijan, Emmitt Smith, and LaDainian Tomlinson by various scouts. He's stout, agile, big play potential, runs away from people, got good hands. Negatives, for what it's worth, good, not special. Certainly wouldn't take him in the first round. It's crazy. Just not top talent as far as make you miss, burst, top speed. Doesn't do much in the pass game. Everybody's just assuming he'll be drafted in the first round. I guess he will, but I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't. Again, I wish there were names on some of these. Some of these guys, one of the other, I mentioned some of the reasons why these are fun, interesting to go through. One of them, pretty underrated, these guys are employed by NFL teams, and that's freaking crazy. Then you got Amari and Hampton. Really, I mean, not from my own assessment, but going off what people are saying, a very, very extremely talented running back that is just overshadowed by Ashton Gently. And it's to the point where some people are possibly putting him ahead of him, or at least getting him really close. Athletic, strong mover, punishing runner, big dude with some niftiness. Cons, runs high, didn't see great vision and concise contact balance. Then you get to Travion Henderson, and you're kind of getting, well, not kind of, you're definitely back in range of where it's possible. Not really in the likely range with Travion Henderson, but in the possible range. Helped himself at the combine, ran pretty fast, really, really well built. Good feet, his hands are good enough, big play threat. Got pick and slide and movement and balance, really good hands. Cons, durability is a question. Doesn't have elite vision, never saw him have great vision. Not dynamic or anything like that, just steady Eddie guy. Next they have, this is where it gets a little different. They have, so on the consensus board, we're in line. Ashton Gently, Amari and Hampton. Consensus 26 for Hampton, but I've seen him significantly higher, where it's kind of like 6 for Gently and like 10-ish for Hampton. I mean, honestly, Bears would make sense. Probably as a ceiling, but still. Then you have Travion Henderson, who's kind of an early second-round guy, so there's a little bit of a gap there. And then on the consensus board, very shortly after, is Quinshon Judkins. They have Caleb Johnson next. Now, it's not that crazy because Caleb Johnson is the next guy on the list at 60 overall, still technically a second-round prospect. Kind of a little bit of a bigger guy, not as much speed, but pro quotes, a lot of explosive runs of 25-plus yards, burst to run, stretch, and get downhill, good patience to follow blockers, smooth moving, really good vision. Cons, not really explosive, hilarious. First positive, explosive. First negative, not very explosive. I'm telling you, scouts, I think this whole thing's a scam. I think it's a scam. I think you go to scout school, you come up through the ranks, you learn the lingo, you learn sort of general things to say, some cool terms, and then you go watch people play football, and you write down notes in your notebook, and you just say stuff and do stuff, and none of this matters. It's all freaking fake. Don't use him in the pass game. Didn't run very good at the combine. One of the more immature guys at Iowa. Those are the notes that I appreciate. Now, how much validity you put behind it is a separate question, but still, I like, I can go find a scouting report anywhere, as much as I would like to believe these are more valuable, just self-defeating. But some of the more insight-driven things where, scouts go to the school, they shake hands with the coaches and possibly even get to know or meet the parents and certainly get to know and meet the prospects themselves. That's interesting. Then they have Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State, so just a little swapperoo there. Pro, frickin' tough guy, short yardage back. It's interesting because it says here 4.38, so I can't wait to watch the running backs. It's one of the things I like the most, and I'm just seeing a bunch of like 225 guys. Like Gutekunst has got to be dying, especially when you're in the 4.3s. You got like a 5'11 and a half, 221 pound 4.38 back. Jeez. Impressive 11-yard broad jump, ran a faster 40 than anticipated. Cons, sort of an afterthought, recruit at Ole Miss, got there and burst on the scene, and every last ounce of it went to his head. I guess that's not great. Described as problematic at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin, not great. More of a slasher, not really a natural runner, not much wiggle. Totally overrated. He is strong, physical, runs hard, but he's not elusive at all. Not a natural pass catcher. Awkward to the ball when he's off target. He fell down a lot. Wow, very interesting next one. Why don't we take a break? We'll probably just speed this up a little bit to make sure we don't go through another break with the running backs, but it is... Where the heck is he? Very interesting next running back prospect. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. So, to be clear, we have the top 5 done, and there's a consensus of who the top 5 are. Then they skip Scatabo, Dylan Sampson, DJ Giddens, Damian Martinez, Bashal Tootin, RJ Harvey, Ollie Gordon, Devin Neal, Jaden Blue, and go to consensus 157, Trevor Etienne out of Georgia. His brother Travis is more straight line explosive, but Trevor is better through contact. Knows when to take it outside, when to go north and south. 3-down starter, explosive ability to get into the second level. Reminds me of another guy in a Georgia jersey, DeAndre Swift. Take that for what it's worth. Cons, was suspended for a game after being charged with a DUI and reckless driving. Kind of enjoyed the nightlife. Once you get a hit on him and wrap him up, he goes down pretty much there. He's not dragging people along for the ride. Got some issues this year just dropping the ball in the pass game. Got some talent, but he's more of a third down guy, kind of disappointing to a degree. Yeah, I don't know why he would be so high on Bob McGinn's list, but I guess he likes him. Then we're back to where the list picks up. Cam Scatabo, running back out of Arizona State. Wow, first quote, never seen anything like this guy. I don't know what that means, but it's crazy. He's got great vision and balance. He can find little creases in there. He's got some niftiness. Gosh, he's fun to watch. He's the most competitive guy on the field. He's always been the best player in every game he plays in. He runs his butt off. He runs through people. He's tough and physical. What the? Actually, I do know who. I remember Scatabo. He's like the little full. I shouldn't say that. He gives off this sort of like Mike Allstott fullback vibe, but then he's not. It's very weird, but excited to watch him. Cons. It's a train wreck every one. He's fighting and somebody else hits him in the back. Okay. I don't know how long he's going to last. His makeup's not very good. Doesn't really like the guy at the school other than they don't really like the guy at the school other than the fact that what he does on Saturday. That's interesting. Wonder why. Looks like a garbage man. Short, squatty, bad body. Speed will be mediocre. Probably make it for like a year, maybe 2. Alrighty. Then we got my man Bashal Tootin. I always say it's my kid's favorite running back, although they don't even know he exists. I just assume if I told them that somebody in the NFL was named Tootin, they'd like it. Find it funny. 5'9", 206, 4.29 speed, so you got that going for him. Fastest running back in the draft. Ran 4.2, and you see that on the field. He's the most explosive of all these guys. Runs hard, too. You get him in a crease or open field, and it's over with. He's the closest one to Jahmyr Gibbs as far as if there's a crease, it's over. Led position in the vertical jump and had a 10-10 broad jump, so explosion. The cons, not very big. Just one of those guys that's a good football player with a pretty average set of skills. I don't know what in the world you're talking about. It's just drunk. Not the biggest, not overly elusive. I don't ever see him being a number 1 or number 2 type guy. And to be clear, Tootin here is higher on McGinn's list than on the consensus board. We still have not done Dylan Sampson, DJ Giddings, or Damian Martinez out of Florida. And we're not going to with the next one either, which is Jaden Blue out of Texas. He is consensus 156 and is a little ways down the list here, although he is rising. He's got the little arrow here. He's moved up 4 spots recently. Major asset as a receiver because he's really fast and athletic, knows how to run routes and catch a ball, and is good at run after the catch. Home run guy with the outside zone, elusive in space to a wow level, very sudden. Not a real thumper, doesn't have a ton of girth behind him, let's say. Sort of a knockoff Jahmyr Gibbs. He's a piece of a backfield puzzle, not like the guy. Then they got Ollie Gordon. It's another one that's a little bit further down, consensus 127. He's the type of player that Derrick Henry is, but I don't know if he's that good. That's the only positive. The cons, big, slow, upright, gets chopped down at the legs, tripped up easy, can't elude, no power for a big guy. Sounds like A.J. Dillon, I hate to say that. He's the type of player Derrick Henry is, but I don't know if he's that good. Big, slow, upright, gets chopped down at the legs, gets tripped up easily, can't elude people, no power for a big guy. This is A.J. Dillon to a T. Does nothing in the pass game. I didn't see anything. Was arrested for a DUI in late June, but wasn't suspended. Then they have DJ Giddens. That is one of the higher-up guys, number 109. We're still skipping Dylan Sampson, who's the last top 100 prospect on the consensus board. But Giddens says excellent size, ran well, excellent vision. You're talking about natural ability and space. He's tough, finishes runs, quick and twitchy with the ball. Cons, question the pull-away long speed, and not good in pass pro, doesn't have the breakaway speed, but maybe enough. He did run a 4.47, so that comment seems pretty legit. It's not blazing, but it's not slow. Then we get our first super outlier here. This is Jordan James of Oregon. Jordan James is rising, but is consensus 255. He's way below a ton of guys on the consensus board here. Not a ton of notes either, but the one pro is everybody's going to bump him up because of the Oregon kid last year, Bucky Irving, in the 4th round, who stirred everybody up in Tampa. Cons, he's okay. Okay, McGinn likes him. Then we got Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers. We just talked about him. I don't remember exactly, but another riser at 163. Love the way he played. Fearless. It's not like the Rutgers has a dynamic offense. It's not like Rutgers has a dynamic offense. They know he's getting the ball. Good in pass pro. Top of the line kid. Perfect fourth-round pick. Cons, speed is the big if. And they have Jarquez Hunter. He's at 178. Loves football, tough runner, can catch the ball well. Good little piece for somebody. That's a weird sentence. Should find a new sentence. Cons, had an episode and was on suspension for several months during the summer. That may push him down a round. That's not great. RJ Harvey, moving back up. He's at consensus 120. He's listed at 5'8", so he's a little bit shorter of a fella. Kind of a poor man's Bucky Irving. Checks out. Really like his demeanor. Compact guy. He's shown he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He'll be a solid, efficient, productive number 2 back that can ascend into a heavier role. We got Taj Brooks. He's consensus 212 out of Texas Tech. Pros. Under the radar guy. Kind of a bowling ball. I like the bowling balls, man. Really strong. Can make the first guy miss in a hole. He's a good number 2 runner. Change of pace banger. Not tall, but he's thick. And he plays with that thickness. Cons, not a great outside runner, not speed deficient, but not an asset. And that is the entire list of running backs. So they had, 12 plus 5, so 17 running backs that they went through. Who did they skip? So they skipped Devin Neal at 147. Interestingly enough, though, he was mentioned in the article. It says, in my mind, there isn't much separation between the number 6 back, Georgia's Trevor Etienne, and the backs residing numbers 19, 20, and 21, Donovan Edwards of Michigan, Rocket Sanders of South Carolina, and Devin Neal. So the bottom line being from 6 to 21, pretty tight pack. And really, even if you look at this consensus board, there are a ton of running backs just crammed like inside of, between 100 and 200. Giddens, Martinez, Tootin, Harvey, Gordon, Neal, Blue, Etienne, Monangai, Brashard Smith, Hunter, Kalel Mullings. And remember, he had some guys outside of that were, he felt, in that group, Taj Brooks, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess you could say, well, it sounds like a pretty good running back group when you have 2 premier first-round guys and also just like a really solid group of depth players. And by depth, I mean more so depth in the draft. I know some of these guys were considered number 2s or whatever, but when you got just a pile of mid-round prospects that you think can be really solid and have, great attributes with size and speed and all that stuff. But all right, let's take a break, come back and do something a little bit more interesting, and that is the defensive linemen that he classified as the Brawlers. All right, so top of the list is Mason Graham. No big surprise there. Michigan defensive tackle, certainly out of our reach. So I'm not going to overly embellish it. One scout compared him to Kyle Williams of Buffalo, who played forever. And on the con side, somebody called him insanely overrated. Well, let's hope so. All right, let's get into the more interesting guys, starting with the number 2 on this list. Can't help but agree with my man McGinn here, who has Walter Nolan of Mississippi, the next man up. That would be the way I would have it. By the way, consensus board, he's almost fallen out of the first round. I don't know what's going on there. Harmon has been hovering at the back for a while. Kenneth Grant, relatively consistent around where the Packers are. I didn't really notice the Walter Nolan slide. But anyways, he's the best 3-tech by far. Tremendous athlete, quick and strong, describes himself as a young Aaron Donald. Sort of like an Albert Hainsworth, except not quite as big. Taller and longer than Graham. He has shown and flashed everything, all of it. When the ball is snapped for 4 seconds at a time, he's really talented, really gifted. He is explosive, good with his hands, good effort. Cons, which is the first one, is kind of a positive. He's a little full of BS, but extremely talented. I mean, I'll take it. Not really explosive, gets knocked around, not very good strength. I don't know about all that. I question this guy's desire and overall toughness and physicality. That's not great. Just one of those flash guys. Disagree. Kid has been paid at 5 different schools, 3 high schools and 2 colleges. He's a mercenary. That's fair. He was the number 1 overall recruit, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he might have a little bit of a complex. You would think totally disinterested. You would think he's hearing a word that you wouldn't think he's hearing a word the coaches are saying to him. Again, not great. Between drills, between snaps, he's on his own program. So that's going to be the biggest problem with Walter Nolan. Sounds like he's been talked up his entire life. He's kind of full of himself, etc., etc. Very interestingly, the next guy on the list is not Kenneth Grant. It's not Derek Harmon. It's not even Tyleik Williams or Darius Alexander. It's Alfred Collins of Texas. That's the 332-pound nose tackle. Very interesting. He's just a junkyard dog, just messes stuff up in there, just a load at the point of attack. He can jolt and snatch people. He takes it, double team blocks on. Got some sneaky quickness in his gaps, plays with balance. He's the type of guy you need to win. First round for sure. He's powerful. He's flexible for a tall guy. He's got strong hands, quick feet for a big man, stout at the point. Let me just say something for a second here, because this is just popped into my head. What do we know the Packers like to do? Surprise the living crap out of us. I know the flags are going off. Just give me a minute. Just bear with me. Surprise the crap out of us. Take premium to semi-premium positions, which this would qualify. Big to biggish programs. Texas qualifies. Generally kind of secondish round guys that go in the first that everybody says was a reach, but then you dig in, you find out actually quite a few people said he was a first-round prospect. But why would you take a 332-pound guy? That's not even what the Packers are necessarily interested in. There is one thought I have on that. The Packers have been meeting primarily with nose tackles. Doesn't have to, could just be a coincidence. But when you look at the people that they're meeting and the defensive tackles, they're almost all bigger nose tackle types. Okay. Something else to consider. Who's the only defensive lineman, I believe, defensive tackle for sure, the entire defensive line, who's the only one we lost? TJ Slaton. The only big boy that we have on that entire defensive line who has any other job other than penetrate and get after it. I think I'm fairly confident the Packers are looking for a bigger guy to be the TJ Slaton. I don't know how important that is. I don't know if that's first round value. In my opinion, it's not. But my opinion doesn't matter. The only question is, should we possibly prepare ourselves for Alfred Collins being the Packers pick in the first round? That just, you always got to think, man, what are they going to do to shock me this time, you know? You think you're prepared every single time, and then they do something, and you just go, I just wasn't ready. For whatever reason, I wasn't ready for it. Really got to start looking at the top 64, even though it's a bit of a reach, but still, the top 64, get very familiar with all of them and assume that all of them are very potentially likely possible picks. Anyways, negatives. Talented but inconsistent. Motors up and down, which makes sense when you're 332 pounds. Technique and discipline in terms of playing upright. Body position at the point was inconsistent. Good solid player, nothing great. He'll be a sometime starter, which makes sense. Then they go to Kenneth Grant. Reminds me a little bit of Richard Seymour and Kevin Williams, that type of guy. I like him better than Graham. Just freaking all over the place here. That's probably the guy that said Graham is insanely overrated. He has length, push, he's aggressive. He was way better than Graham, not even close. That's crazy that two guys have said that, and very convincingly. Pretty smooth movement for a big man. He's got upside. He's got some inside pass rush. Power rush is really good. I mean, he is an insane human being. Kenneth Grant makes sense as an Alfred Collins because you can look at his size and say, okay, you fill that role, but also you have the athleticism to be a pass rusher. I mean, it has Packers written all over it, but that one wouldn't surprise me, so it probably isn't going to happen. Really stout at the point, big body that demands a double team, plugs up space, played extremely hard. He's got good range due to the effort and played to the whistle. Long arms to affect the passing lanes. He's a really good player. Cons, some rawness, not a ton of experience. That screams Packers. Hands are a little inconsistent in his pass rush moves. That can be coached. Really disappointed. Big old dude is just a non-factor. I'll be honest, as much as that sounds silly, that was kind of my takeaway. I was more enamored with his athleticism at his size than I was really excited about his play. For as big as he was, I expected him to really just rock people and move them. I didn't see that. Maybe he's hard to move, but that's different than moving people. Plays upright, gets killed by angle blocks, doesn't have great feel, technically unsound. I can see the conditioning being an issue. If he doesn't have Graham next to him, he probably doesn't develop to the level he has. He's got to have a really good D-line coach who's going to kick his butt and hold him accountable. If you don't have that, you're probably going to get a bust. Then we go to Tyleik Williams. To be clear, we have done Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, Tyleik Williams, and Alfred Collins before Derek Harmon. Just throwing it out there. Ooh, he's a good football player. He can play 0 or 1 or 3 technique, and you can keep him on the field all 3 downs. Hard to handle one-on-one and pass rush downs. Beats the crap out of dudes. People don't realize how big and strong he is. As an athlete, with that kind of size, he's a matchup advantage depending on who you're going against. Very similar to Collins, which I guess makes sense. He's 329, so similar in size. Just a load of a guy, monster at the point of attack, hard to handle. He's quick, productive, disruptive. The only con, not a pass rusher, but give me that push, give me some effort. All right. Then finally we get to Derek Harmon, basically at the bottom of the first and second round guys. The only 2 that are remaining are Darius Alexander and TJ Sanders. So it's pretty wild. Again, don't massively disagree. I didn't super love Derek Harmon as much as, his pass rush frenzy stuff showed. I wasn't as excited. Pros, like his size, the disruption, the athleticism, and the strength. If you want a guy that's up the field and disruptive penetrator, he's a really good prospect. He can play whatever. He can play some nose this year. He's got the length to play 5 technique, the quickness to play 3. If he goes after 20, someone's getting a great value pick. Oh, if you're going after 20, someone's getting a good value pick. And I understand these guys are all over the place, but I don't think we're pushing Derek Harmon to the back of the second as much as we're pushing some of these other guys into the first. Really strong upper and lower body, more straight line speed than you would guess for a big guy. Cons now. Plays out of control, plays high. It hurt his production this season. He missed a lot of tackles. Not real twitchy or sudden, heavy-footed and change of direction, more of a placeholder than a playmaker, tall, linear, high-hipped, he's okay. Nothing really stands out, good but not great pass rusher. His pass rush is more stunting and effort. He's not going to beat your butt with moves. Next they have Jordan Birch, who I believe is listed as an edge rusher on here. Yeah, number 76 overall as an edge rusher. But he is one of those kind of tweener guys. He's a very large edge rusher, but obviously they have him differently. 282, 4'6", 40. He's wired a little bit different than a lot of D linemen. He's got his stuff together. He can play up or down wherever. First guy off the bus, man, he looks good. He's improved. At least he did get better. Quite a few more cons. He played at 290 during the season and dropped almost 20 pounds before the combine. He's a finesse player. He just has to understand he's not a twitchy athlete. He makes some first-round plays, and he also makes some undrafted plays. Boom or bust in his profile. If he goes in the first, that's a very, very big reach. Not a super loose athlete. Instincts are going to be an issue. They were at South Carolina, and they were at Oregon. They were waiting for him to make more plays, and it didn't happen this year. He's always been an underachiever. Looks incredible on the hoof, but he's just too nice. That's my entire critique of Lucas Van Ness, by the way. He looks the part, but he's just a freaking nice guy, By the way, rooting for you, LVN. Can't wait for you to break out this year. Get you a neck tattoo, I'm just saying. He's a real nice kid. He might go 3rd or 4th round off the body alone, but he doesn't make a lot of plays. Then we got TJ Sanders. He's consensus 64, so we're still technically in that 2nd round range. Says the Carolinas are notorious for these type of guys. They got size, mobility, twitch, and they're still getting better in their 3rd and 4th year of college. He's a country kid, raw, with huge upside, really good first step, really good power in his hands, showed that he can win with quick, showed he can win with power. Former basketball player, so the movement is obviously there. He's a 2nd rounder all day, top 50 player. He can play a 4 to a 5 technique, but on nickel and dime, he can probably get away lining up inside. Cons, borderline 1st rounder last year. When he wants to play hard, he can be really good. I don't feel like these are cons so far. He's got some typical D-line immaturity and work ethic issues. The reports out there indicate he's not really ready for this. They'll tell us when you walk through the door he might be the most talented player, but the attitude and demeanor, ... Yeah, I don't want to deal with this. I just don't. I'm just being flat out. If I'm the GM, it's like, I don't care how good the guy, I don't want this. In the locker room we're trying to build, with the attitude we're trying to build, and all that stuff, we got a bunch of hyped up, rah-rah, doing things the right way guys, and I don't need somebody coming in shuffling their feet. I just don't want it. He's a big-time underachiever. He's never really put it together. He's probably going to be disappointed on draft day. They tolerated him, but he underachieved there. And by the way, these are notes that are, I mean, somebody said he's a top 50 player guaranteed. Fine, fair enough, we'll see. But, I mean, all 32 teams are getting these notes on him, and they very well understand. Where is our guy here? Next up is Shamar Turner. So this is our first kind of uncharacteristic, I guess, aside from Alfred Collins. He's at consensus 85. We've skipped about 4 guys, I guess. Defensive lineman out of Texas A&M. Pros liked him, had some cool traits, plays hard, tough and physical, strong, he can run. He'll knock the crap out of you. He's a good point player in terms of strength and position and leverage. He's got explosive power, plays on his feet, good against the double. He's got range on loops and stunts. He's a strong second-round pick. He's getting some attention now. Cons, you'd like a little bit more consistent pass rush and overall production for a guy with his talent level, and he leaves you wanting a little bit more. Continue on to consensus 89, still skipping all the guys that just got skipped. Josh Farmer, Florida State, 6'3", 312. Does the dirty work. That's rare to be that short and thick with those arms. He has high upside, still kind of a young, raw player. Well-proportioned, has real power in his lower body. Good athlete overall, real twitch for a big man. Shows some first-step quickness and lateral agility to work on edges and get in gaps. Good variety of pass rush moves. Cons, just not as consistently strong and tough, playing the point of attack and causing problems as Collins and Williams. He gets knocked around a lot, not the most impressive physical specimen for a size-length standpoint. Doesn't win from the jump, tends to take his foot off the gas, stand up, freelance, a little limited in his lateral movement, so that'll hurt him. He does that consistent redirect and close, just not all the time. Then we drop even more down to Ty Robinson, who's consensus 107. I mean, we're still pretty close to the top 100, but we're still skipping all the skippy guys. 6'5", 288, out of Nebraska, big body, thick dude, really strong and powerful, extremely high motor, empties his tank, good first step and quickness, heavy hands, knocks blockers back, can club an offensive lineman off his feet, can pry combo blocks open, can bull rush a blocker into a quarterback, some short area close and runs well, takes up space in the run game and high motor production in the pass game. You're hanging your hat on the strength and power, looks like an NFL lineman. He has really got initial quickness in that initial charge. He's big and he can run. The cons. Semi-disappointing week at Senior Bowl. It's hard for him to get skinny in a gap because of his size. When he gets tired, his pad level can rise and hand placement can get sloppy. Becomes a little bit of a brawler, mauler type. A little bit of a straight line, erect, bull in a china shop type of player. He's in the backfield, but then where's the ball? He'll crash into the line and not be able to get to the quarterback on the ground. He'll get faked out or something. Then we get our first massive outlier here at consensus 279. Just skipping a ton of people here. Yaya Black, defensive lineman out of Iowa. They just like the big dude. I think McGinn is just still stuck in 1984. 6'5.5", 330 pounds. I'm a fan. He'll be a 2-tech or a 3-4 D end. What? Okay. More of a 2-gap kind of guy. This guy emerged as a leader. He's vocal. He grew to love the program, loved everything about it. He works. He'll be real nice value in the second or third. When he uses hands and length, he can stack and shed blocks. This kid has upside. When he wants to go, he's impressive. Cons, unrefined as a pass rusher and must develop moves and counters. Disappears for stretches and stays blocked. Makes him frustrating to watch. Little bit of a good, little bit of bad. Positive and negative flashes throughout games. Little bit of feast or famine with him. Then he disappears. He ran particularly slowly at the combine. Then one of the weirder things, because I can't find him anywhere, defensive line or edge or anything, Savion Jones out of Louisiana State. He's a bad you-know-what player, plays with great motor, tough, physical. He can set the edge. He's got power inside. Could start for some people at 3-tech. He played end, but showed very interesting versatility, playing inside at the Senior Bowl. Probably a 4th-round guy, but if you need a guy, he's worthy of a 3rd. It's just crazy. He's not even on the list. Then Then and only then we get to Darius Alexander. And Darius Alexander is consensus 47. So that's pretty wild. Kind of reminds me, oh jeez. This is the first positive for him. Gotta catch my breath. All right, here we go. Kind of reminds me of Montravius Adams coming out of Auburn in 2017. You put that on the wrong list, bro. He's instinctive and plays hard. When you have guys like that kind of find their way on the field, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the second or third round. Cons, he's big, but he doesn't play big. More of a guy that gets on an edge and gets upfield. Doesn't have a ton of substance, setting edges, and two-gapping. Jamari Caldwell is consensus 130 on the list. Still skipping guys like Deion Walker out of Kentucky, but we're chunking along, I guess could be a saying if you wanted it to be. Second or third round, he's a real gap plugger, stacks and splits. He's powerful, keeps his pads down. They don't really care about the look because they knew what he could do. Fair enough. He's another 330-pound guy, by the way. Go figure. You're not going to like him if you see him in person. He's a soft, doughy body. You know what that reminds me of? It's not even necessarily the body. Who is the guy? I forget exactly who he was. I think the Ravens drafted him as their right tackle, but he got laughed out of the... He did like, 7 bench press reps or something stupid as an offensive tackle. It was probably like 13, 14, 15, but still, for the positions, like, what the heck? And so he just became like this massive human that really just didn't even have a lot of strength or what. Bottom line is, his draft stock fell, and a lot of people kind of scoffed at him, and he went on to be very good. Looks like a bad offensive lineman body. You wouldn't want him getting off the bus first. They're always concerned about who gets off the bus first. It's one of those coach speak, scout speak things. They think they sound really smart, but it just gets to be repetitive and obnoxious. Then we finally get somebody back in the top 100. Omar Norman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee, is consensus 82 overall. 6'2", 300 pounds. Pros, people hyped him up. It's the only pro. Cons, I don't think he did all that much. I think he was just short of a shorter, sawed-off guy with some quickness. Just sort of a shorter. I was like, what the heck does that mean? Maybe I undersold him at the combine. He was sort of a disaster. Okay. He won't be as high a pick as people were saying. Then we get Deion Walker out of Kentucky, who I think is our last top 100 guy. He's another big guy, a real big guy, 6'7.5", 328. He's as big as they come. He has some ability when he wants to. Probably end up in Philly and be great. Well, that's an obvious thing to say. Cons, in the trenches, you got to play with some type of leverage. He just stands up too often and gets pushed around a little bit too much. He just needs the right environment. So that is your group of defensive tackles. Overall assessment of the group, it's really, really deep. There's a ton of interior guys. I got 12 with starting grades. It says, I remember doing Seymour and Stroud out of Georgia in 2000. Actually, 2001. So he doesn't remember very well. But that's what it reminds me of with Grant and Graham. There's a bunch of them, defensive tackles, but these guys, Grant and Graham, are in the category by themselves. One of them will go top 15 easy. They don't come along that often. It's hard to pass on those two guys. So it was a lot of emphasis on that because that was one of the things that he wanted to talk about was Michigan's defensive tackle history and whatnot. But I'm going to leave it at that. I suppose I'll let you know it's more of a Packernet After Dark thing because it's been a constant thing being talked about, which fortunately will come to an end. Looks like I'm going to the draft. Son came in and I kind of just bit the bullet and I was like, you know what, just ask your mom if she wants to go. And of course she said yes. And so now we're going and I can't back out because I've got my kids up and down, jumping up and down upstairs, screaming, and my wife is doing things. And so the wheels are in motion. So I'm thinking day one. I think I have talked them into let's go day one and leave before the pick. Hopefully get home so we can go to the draft, do the festivities, come home and do all 3 days of the draft here. I know that sounds silly because you're not seeing the picks, but I don't care about that. I mean, as cool as it might seem, I watched some of the video of these other things. I'm going to be standing a mile away. I'm not going to be able to see the stage. It's not going to be a thing. So we'll go do the fun kid activities while the sun is out, and then we'll probably kick the tires and get the heck out of there. Hopefully be home in time to do the draft. If we stream it or not, I don't know. That's a little bit up in the air. See how I'm feeling coming back, but For those that have been hyperventilating about it, now you know. And for those that allegedly canceled their plans because of me, shame on you. How about that? All right, I'm going to get up out of here. You have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.